Okay, this is Kal Kat to Kal Katster, and there's no panel today. It's still a Memorial Day weekend, Sunday. There's of course no. We didn't go. We did go to the convention. I was at the convention on Friday, and got our money's worth on Friday, and didn't spend too much, and came home. And didn't really do much at all. The bus fare there was cheap, and very cheap, $3 there and back. So yeah, so that was made up for it. The didn't really buy any, but like one meal down there, and it was like a burrito. So it's kind of it. Some candy, a couple of a con shirt and a regular shirt, totaling about $20 each. Anyway, so we have so we returned, and there was no Saturday show. On Saturday and Sunday, Clint Cowpoke stuff completed photography this morning on the Robotech meets the Transformers 4, the story. I'm sure we'll discuss that. This is not really the after party, but kinda. No, it's an AdamaCon and stuff. There's a toy show in June. We're not going to that. It's too soon. It's literally the week after next. That's too soon. It's going to have to be the next one. So we'll see about that. There was no car show. They said there was a car show. I didn't see a car show. Maybe it was somewhere off campus. The other thing. So yeah. Yeah, the Robotech meets the Sentinels thing. I guess we go into that first because that's what we're just doing. Rendering you do like a layer of editing after moving the sets around, after striking all the sets and putting them away in the old storage closet on the set. Yeah. So until later, yeah. So they can't do any scene pickups. It's all put away. So hopefully, what's here in the can is fine, because ain't going back. If there's a screw up, there's a screw up, and it's just gonna stay. There was one funny blooper this morning, so that's in the making of reel, and we don't need to make this any kind of an after party because there isn't one. So yeah. We didn't even mean to do a fourth story. Apology to the fans, kind of thing. Yeah. So, kind of what we did with this one was the last of the clever story ideas and idioms of Mom, and added to it was a few story idioms of nephew Johnny, who was visiting, and who got to be in an episode of the Kal Kat show. He got to review the Planet of the Apes, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I understand that now he's gone home, and now Mad Max Furiosa is out, but I cannot see it this weekend. Everyone else will have seen it and will have given it away in spoilers and all that, but I cannot see it this weekend. It's going to have to be next weekend. Yeah, or even we'll see. So yeah, yeah. The Robotech Transformers. Well, with the 3-part Transformers Legacy story, we kind of imply that it was a dream at the end. And kind of do that cliche. It was a joke, but nobody got the joke. They assumed it was a dream, and I was like, oh, we're going to do that. Or a timeline-altering thing and whatever. This story is sort of an apology to the fans. It sort of says, well, actually, that timeline did happen in those other universes, but the Primes messed with the timeline and put everyone back and reset it. So yeah, so they reset it. So this one, it's Rick and Max. Look like Rick and Max from the Space Bridge from the later stories. Everybody looks a little older. It appears that the time caught up with them, and everything is cool. That's all they got to, pretty much kind of reiterating what's in the story, because it was already in the story panel. So yeah, that's kind of it with that one. Yeah. I understand that some of the characters in the story do come in and out of the story and drop out. But it's about Rick Hunter, Max, and Lisa. It's not about the other peripheral characters. They come in and out, it's a bit like a sitcom format, and they can do that. Yeah, it's like, okay, here's one group in one episode, and one group in the next episode. It's like there's 4 episodes strung together, basically. 4 22-minute episodes strung together. So yeah. Trying to make up 90 minutes, I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to be 90 minutes. I think it's a little under that. But that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, we also did, yeah, we could also discuss the Star Trek we did this season. Yeah, Starship Locations Legacy story, the 3-parter that we did earlier. And it was in production, and there was only 2 originally parts, and we did a 3rd one. Kind of something similar there. We got 2 parts, and then yesterday became to our 3rd one. It's thrown in here because we had some ideas left over to just finish off it. And it's kind of an apology there too. Kind of. They're kind of saying, okay, the last one was a little weird, so we're going to clarify the first one and the second one by having the 3rd one sort of explain things to the best of their ability. Yeah. And for some reason, they had the idea that somehow there was a fan base complaining. They're not. It's not about my movies. Yeah, so that's kind of weird. Yeah, so Star Trek. Let me talk about Star Trek. Yeah, the Star Trek stuff, the DAX stuff. I think I already kind of went over that too. The idea of finishing that off, finally doing a Tam and Kestra episode that actually has some development of the characters. Kind of have the same problem that the actual Star Treks have had, like Discovery, the other one. Trying to figure out what to do with a character who they've created sort of as a token character of a group, and then not done anything with that. They really have trouble with that with Star Trek. We'll get into that a bit later. But in the case of this story, these 2 characters, yeah, Tam Locarno was supposed to be transgender. It never comes up in the story. It just never comes up either way. It's just like, oh, she's transgender. That just never comes up. And so also it's connected to, she's related to the Tal symbiote, and how they screwed that up on Discovery by making it 800 years later and having that, like, he's not 900 years old, he's clearly like 600 as a symbiote. So they screwed up. There's like hundreds of years missing. But that's Star Trek messing it up, so different. So in this one, they had to have met. He had to have, in the 2400s, he had to have left being the 2400s era uniformed guy, the Tal, and become the next Tal. He goes from Jabbar Tal to Tamara Tal, becomes Tamara, which is consistent with the timeline. The symbiote becomes her, him, them. Yeah, so that was much to say about that. It doesn't. Yeah, and Kestra, we couldn't figure out what to do with Kestra. Part of the problem is that the characters are loosely based on actual people, as they are. Even the Locarnos are based on sort of actual people, that as Star Trek people, so they had to be handled with kid gloves, as they used to say. We couldn't actually have anything happen to them. So they had to kind of be like, well, okay, we have Cam and Kestra. They're based loosely on these other 2 people. Their gender identities are switched, and they're slightly different, but they're these 2 people. They show up in cameo in other episodes, in scenes of the Location series as themselves, and address Tam and Locarno, Tam and Kestra. But they're the other two people that they're based on. And we're not going to say, so it's confusing because we can't say. So yeah, there's the other 2 adults who are playing the adults in the characters. It's not like something like that. It's just that they didn't really say it was going to have permission for that, to have their real names. So yeah, go for that. Somewhat. But yeah, they were clearly modeled after those 2 real people. So yeah. Emoji is the fake name, another fake name for one of them. And Abra, the other one. But those are the fake names. So you won't be able to figure out who they are. But it doesn't matter. Just don't know that they were based on somebody before. And kind of like, just like the Elysian is based on somebody from before, but it's not around much anymore. Although curiously, the Elysian was at the con. She was there, so that was weird. It was her, but that's strange. Yeah. So, with her sister, they were both there. There wasn't much of a dialogue though. I don't think they recognized me. Ha! I had a mask. Hat. But yes, there were also some other people at the con that were from the youth group that had gone to it. But the one that I thought was one of the other people wasn't. At least I don't think so. But yeah, one of them was definitely from. Yeah, that happens every year. They went to the con. So here we have. It doesn't matter. Could have been somebody else, but it wasn't. Yeah. Q&A session, I guess, to come up next because this is all related. Yeah. So about the YouTube channel. Let's go into the YouTube channel stuff. Let's go into that. So, could do Star Trek stuff, but Star Trek is someone else's stuff. Could go into how Discovery is kind of screwy. I'll go into that a little bit just because this is kind of just shooting the shit anyway. Okay, let's go into Star Trek Discovery Season 5 a little bit. That's the only thing on currently this convention. We don't need to go into Lower Deck Season 4. We kind of did. And it's been months. So no, this is Season 5. We're right in the middle, or near the end. The finale's next Thursday. And they haven't done anything with it here at all, in Grey at all. They are treating them just like we're treating Tam and Kestra in the Kamara series, because they've been copying us, and they didn't know what to do with them after making them like that. You also have Culber and Stamets. They're gay, but they haven't been able to do much of anything with them either. Okay, there's the Doctor and there's the Chief Engineer. That's it. That's all they were able to do. They couldn't go beyond that. So that was all I was going to say about Discovery. And also, it's kind of silly. But I still watch it because it's Star Trek. I still watch it. But I don't think that the direction they're going is going to make sense. I don't think a Starfleet Academy series taking place in the 32nd century makes any sense at all, because nobody cares about Discovery. They need to do something that takes place either in the past, in the time of Pike or Kirk, or Picard in the 2400s, or in that 78-year period between 2293 and 2264 or so. I think it's 2364. If they do something in there, that would make sense. That's originally what Brian Fuller's concept for Discovery was. He was going to do an anthology series where each season jumped ahead 10 years. That was the original premise of Star Trek Discovery. Brian Fuller himself. He was all, I wanted to do like a series I wanted to do a season set in the 2250s and then jump ahead 10 years. Past Kirk. Do something in there during the movie era. And then jump ahead a little bit more into the Lost era. And then ahead a little more. By 5 seasons, it would be just before Picard. And crew in the 2250s. Way off the 2150s to 2250s. That would have been very interesting. Anthology series. They're not doing it right. They're doing that. Well, they're going to do a Section 31 movie. Oh, they want to do another Origin movie, apparently. No, don't do an Origin movie. You're a lifeline Star Trek fan here. From since I was 3 years old, I know what I'm talking about. You want to do a fun Star Trek movie. Here's what you do. You make a fun Star Trek movie. You don't do Wrath of Khan again. It's been done 7 times out of 13 movies. Stop with Wrath of Khan. Stop with villain coming out of the woodwork. Ah ha ha, nasty villain, ah ha ha. No. The other episodes were man versus nature or man versus gods. Do a man versus gods one. That's awesome. Do that. Do one set in the Picard era. We did it a couple times with Kamar fan films. Do a Q movie. Do Picard and Q in a movie. If you do Picard and Q in a movie, Deep Space Nine in the background, the Enterprise F flying in on the cover, you would get all the fans and some of the non-fans. That's what you want, right? Have Q put them on an adventure on Bajor and other planets, going space hopping, space epic. That's what you need to do. You want to make a good Star Trek movie. And it's just Q. He's messing with them. It's not Wrath of Khan. No one's out for revenge. It's just a mystery story where they got to go down and solve a mystery on a planet. You can spend all of your budget on sets in Canada if you want, and some sets in California if you want. And you can kind of mix them together. And you can have Ayers Rock in there as an homage to that. the Kirk and Gorn thing. Do stuff like that in there. Make it fun. Make a fun movie. Even the Star Trek First Contact had about half of it was Wrath of Khan with the Borg Queen. But the other half was fun adventure on the Earth doing a contact story. And that was actually an origin story too. But don't do an origin story. What made it fun was that it was a goofy character. Reverend Cochrane is acting goofy and drunk and stuff. And that was fun. Do that with Q. We've done it twice. In our fan films, we have shown, 2019, we had the little figurines go to the Q continuum, and we showed that. Yeah, we had like a nod to that Voyager episode where Q tells Janeway, "Oh, that little cornfield you saw, that was only the beginning. You are going to see what is and ever will be Q." And then they're just in this weird ethereal plane. It's all trippy. Weird stuff's like shooting around everywhere. They're standing on a glass table in space. On the table, it's floating around, and they're like afloat in the astral plane. It was freaking cool. It's like, why can't they do that? They totally could do that now. They have that screen thing. That'd be cool. Why don't the Star Trek people just take the 2019 Star Trek Chimera story and make that a movie? Just make it a movie, trim it down. It was 3 hours. You'd have to trim it down to 2 hours. You guys could let me write it. It would be awesome. Well, actually, the script, if they followed it, it is a 90-minute script. It's just that the way we shot it, it turned out to be 3 hours. But 50-minute segments. The 3 half-an-hour segments turned out to be 50 minutes because of the way it was shot. If it was done now, it would be 90 minutes. They could easily pull that off, and it's timeless in the story that it's telling. So why not? But you probably won't do that. Also, you might have recognized in the Star Trek locations, where we did a bunch of visits to planets we'd seen before, and then in the credits, we did an episode where they go to the mob planet, and Quentin Tarantino was listening to the credits. He didn't write it, but we took his premise and wrote a story based on the premise. Let's do Pulp Fiction on a mob planet. There was a mob planet, so hey, I could do that. 50 minutes. They should have just let him write an episode of Stranger Worlds. That's what they should have done. That would work. So we did something like that. But yeah, the Transformer stuff is also fun too. Q thing, that's fun too. Shooting the shit about Star Trek. The Discovery has been a little better this season, but it has issues. You kind of need to. The main problem with Discovery is with this season, is that they're trying too hard at the last minute, and they added stuff in there to add character development later, and they just wrote Saru off the ship because they clearly want to kill him off. It's really obvious. If they don't kill him off, I'd be surprised if they don't on Thursday. They're going to kill him off. Which they're obviously going to get rid of him because the other guy's on the ship the whole time, and we don't really care about the other guy with the funny ears. We just don't care. It's not interesting. They have to, and then the other character development stuff, establishing that we're going to know our bridge crew. You should have known your bridge crew in the opening series, in the opening season. Not now, not in the final season. They've kind of got the same problem that Zack Snyder does over with his Rebel Moon stuff. Same problem there, but a little bit worse there because he doesn't really know how to do character development. He didn't really know how to do character development with that long Snyder cut of Batman v Superman. The Justice League. You didn't know how to do Justice League either. You have to let the characters grow and breathe and have story arc and stuff like that. I was always good at that. So you have that. There are some relatives that would dispute that and say, well, your stuff is boring. It's about Transformers. But Transformers fans, they like it. Yeah, it's not political enough for some of the relatives. But no, I don't want to make it political. The joke is like, oh, Donnie Spurs gets lost into space. That's all you need to know. He's a villain in that one episode. That's all you need to know. Yeah. The politics are for the other stuff channels. Don't do that. Yeah, just don't do that. There's no point in that. There's enough of that out there. So. Okay, this is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster. The AdamaCon thing. I'm going to post this on the On Location Cat channel, KTS channel instead. AdamaCon usually goes over there. So this is Q&A stuff. Yeah. Which is kind of fudged because no one's asking the questions. I'm asking the questions as if someone would ask questions. Right? Just you know. So, yeah. Let's see. Start with this one. Any reaction from the martial sportist or drug swan as a result of the episodes of last season in, I assume that's Star Trek Chimera, the Chimera series? No. Yeah, no one has actually responded to any of those stories. All the responses seem to be from, if there is a response, it seems to be in-house. It seems to be like, we just posted something saying, oh, we have a fan film. Yeah. Except for that. No one, they like it, but that's generally in-house, so it doesn't matter. They're not TMS anymore, so it's 2007, 2008, something later. So no response really. And I guess that kind of goes with this other one down below, which is kind of similar. Did any TMS people okay Talisman or Shadow Dancer or all those other characters in there? No, not directly. They didn't. That doesn't mean they didn't okay it either. There's just been no response. Yeah. We just assumed that the Chica character would like how we handled the Holy Cat meeting her scene, because and did not go there. We chickened out and had the other two interrupt them. They were gonna kiss. They didn't end up kissing. So yeah. But in the Rumbly one, they were. Conversely, as a question, did Rumbly, the person who inspired Rumbly, did she see her she's not a TMS person, a church person. Did she actually see that performance of her as Rumbly Cito? No, she did not. They did not see that. I would have heard from her, but I haven't. She did not see it. She probably would have wondered why she was on the mob planet in the first place. Be kind of baffled. Will there be a Tam and Kestra spin-off at the Starfleet Academy? Probably not. Which doesn't mean probably, it means probably not. A Starfleet Academy story, they've been kicking around that idea for years. They're trying to make one now. It's a dumb idea because it's not interesting to see them in school. Maybe you want to get your fix of reading On Location at Evergreen, On Location 2 at Evergreen, or On Location First Press, or On Location Valley Stories, or On Location Pine Hill at high school, or the San Jose State one, undergrads. You can go and do that on Amazon. You can read my stuff. But yeah, making a story out of those stories would be, no, we're not going to do that. That would just be really problematic to do that. Now, there isn't a question on here, but I'm going to add the question. So they've mentioned Mom's libraries of vast library of internet stuff, and one of your other relatives has released apparently some of theirs. Why don't you release yours of the letters and emails and stuff? Well, no, I'm not releasing the emails and letters, unlike the other relative, because they're I'm not going to release them to the general public and make like a book about that. That would just be weird. And I think there's too many people that are alive that would dispute the elements of it and get everyone mad. So I'm not putting out, even though there's nothing bad in them, just they might get dead. It's not. She passed away on April 1st, and I had a clever way of honoring the legacy as she was getting sick. My mother in a coma, not comatose, but almost dying of Alzheimer's, and found a clever way of including elements of her train of thought from the journals in all these legacy episodes that we did. We did Transformers Legacy and Star Trek Legacy and this Robotech Transformers Legacy story, and put them all together. And there's elements of Mom. There's clearly the presence of Mom felt it, like the shapings or whatever, felt on the set the whole time. So she would approve of all of those and love them. They were all pretty much. She was a sci-fi person too, so as a nurse and a sci-fi person, and she would have been on the classic Trek if they had, part for yeah. There isn't a question and answer. There's a, but I'm gonna add it. There's a Madala. We learned this season that the season on the Star Trek fan films, that it wasn't Elizabeth Brown, it was Katie Brown who was in Star Trek. She wasn't in The Apple. She was in Wink of an Eye. Katie Brown. Around the knee. A distant cousin. Which was the wrong person, wrong episode. But yeah, now we fixed that. So, now we go on with others. So, following the fallout of Ceto, not Fallout the show, but Ceto, from Lower Decks, what is next? Well, the Star Trek Legacy kind of breaks the story arc of Ceto Jaxa and the whole thing. The whole backstory of how that got resurrected and stuff. And how she got resurrected and stuff. And they kind of changed that a little bit. They established, maybe that happened back years ago. It wasn't entirely what they seem. Let's make it sort of that timeline. I'm thinking that in the canon of the series, that to them, to the crew, the Locarno's family and so forth, and to Ceto and them and Wesley and all the others, she did live. She survived. She was rescued at Kal Camp. She was rescued in 2375 by Sarah Esteban, and that's what happened. So she was rescued. Now in the story, you find out that she was actually not the original, but some sort of clone, which then they could say, well, the other one died in the shuttle. They could have analyzed the DNA and said, oh, she died in the shuttle. No, they cloned her. So they ran her to an adult, and then they had her on the station, the base. But Locarno was too, also cloned by a similar method. They were all Makiki, so there you go. It still works. It makes it more convoluted. It makes it a little like the Robotech story later. But I think it works. And you can just say, oh, it's a separate timeline. Lower Decks is not canon with the original Star Trek and Next Generation, really. It's not canon. It's there, but it's not canon. And how they killed Locarno in their universe, I'm saying it's mirrored Locarno, or one of the copies, and turned him into the planet thing with turned him into a Genesis device thing at the end is weird. Find out in season 5 if they rectify that. If they reference Sarah Esteban and the Exeter in there, throw in that, and then they know McMahon knows our channel and watching it, and is like, oh yeah, I like that idea. I'm gonna do that. He probably isn't, but it'd be funny if he did that. So she's not coming back. There wouldn't be any reason to bring her back. He's done. But not because of Lower Decks, because we couldn't figure out what to do with the character, even after promoting her and going through things. It was already in the works that she was not going to come back, and that Ezri and Locarno were going to leave. That was the end of their story arc. Like years ago, we knew how the story arc was in the direction it was going to kind of go. We were eventually going to show DeClaw and the other stuff, and we did, and we were going to eventually do that. And it was decided that it was best to leave it sort of open-ended, in a way South Park kind of does that. Their comedy, they leave it open-ended for interpretation. Was she this? Was she that? That way the canon stays the canon, and nobody complains. And the same would go for, since we're on that topic, I'll add one. Who was Sarah Esteban based on? and what was, she's a San Jose State person, who was based on, and what was the significance of that. If you haven't seen the Chimera episodes, in which they actually show an older Sarah Esteban who shows up and helps the Chimera in an invasion that happens, and then later on, well, she's killed in the off screen, and then goes into the realm there with Kira and some of the others to help Cisco and stuff, and also for Kira to have her fight with Kai Wynn, because Kira decides, well, I've been killed in this space, and obviously it's a sort of an alternate universe type of thing where Q is messing with them, so don't worry about it, they're not dead. But anyway, in this story, they're kind of dead at first, and then they go in there and they're like, yeah, she goes, the only way I can fight Kai Wynn is if I die, and they go get there and fight her, and then it doesn't work out so well. But then Q fixes everything. It's fine. They do that a lot this season. We've done that a lot to resurrections and stuff. So Sarah Esteban was a name of a character, loosely based on older version of they're adults, an older version of a character from San Jose State who has since passed. So we can mention the name, Soledad Rosas. That's what she's based on, and she was a plucky, wheelchair-bound character from the San Jose State series in the 2006 to 2009 period, a little bit into 2011, and she was plucky and outgoing and everything, and had a protest site and all that. Yeah, and she was part of the cast of the role-playing of Star Trek Chimera, which was going on then. So there was a version of Star Trek Chimera going on then, and the early stages of that script that would become the 2019 movie many years later. Yeah, so miniseries, she was involved in there in some way, capacity, and yeah, she was the inspiration for the Sarah Esteban scene, the scene where Locarno and Sato are rescued from the camp, along with we meet a young Crass and Mahoney, and yeah, that story arc is finished too for Crass and Mahoney. So yeah, there's yeah, and she's in the ethereal realm. She's been cubed, so she's sort of she's maybe not dead necessarily, but not necessarily coming back either. Just maybe not necessarily dead. So yeah, so the silly Trek revives people constantly. So. Yeah. Will Locarno or his wife return? It's not because of Lower Decks. We were kind of kidding about that, but they could, if there was reason to. It would have to be a good story. There'd have to be a reason to bring them back, not just another. Oh, we're gonna go on space planet thing. Kind of. It'd have to be a reason. I haven't come up with one yet. If you were going to do a Transformers story, new TF story, I mean Transformers, what would you explore next? 2024, hopefully in 2024. No. 2025. I don't currently know. There are a lot of interesting ideas out there, but none of them have gelled just yet. The legacy was the last bits of the other thing. We weren't ever going to do Earthspark. The toys aren't that great for Earthspark. The only one or two that I would get of that toy line, if I wanted to, I would definitely find Nightshade and get her, because I get them because they're the Transformers characters, so I would get them. I think they're available on Amazon, but I have not purchased them yet at this point. Yeah, and if there is a version, I don't think they've officially released it. So if they say there's a version, there isn't. It's fake. They haven't released that toy. There was silly controversy over it, so I would own it just for that. Yeah. So, but as for other stuff, I don't know. Yeah. What happened to Queen Bee or Queen Bee Studios? Well, Queen Bee Studios was sort of an homage to Mom, so it was kind of there, and it was really On Location Cats the whole time. It was doing business as Queen Bee, and it was On Location Cats. It wasn't a Dodge or a a fake or a fraud. It's a non-profit kind of thing. It's not even. It's less than a non-profit. It's less than a studio. It's a guy and his friend doing Transformer things, like in his house. It's not. It's not a company. And neither of them are a company technically, but they do go broke a lot. They don't ever file for Chapter 11 because that would be silly. But they do go broke a lot. But yeah, that's what happened to it. It just was representing the other one, just to be representing it. What happens with the algorithm? Assume that refers to the YouTube stuff. YouTube stuff, yeah. A lot of content creators, you probably noticed, a lot of their subscribers have just vanished, like been erased from YouTube and all the screen bots and all that. And even when you go to Social Blade or something and check the algorithm, it looks like they never had those subscribers. They're just gone. The YouTube is the internet has figured out a way to be scrubbed, and some of them scrub them, especially if they don't have ads or they have a lot of ad blockers up. The algorithm doesn't like the Kal Kat show, even though we have 1,300 videos, because they realize that this guy's got some kind of an ad blocker. He's blocking it. He doesn't like me. So yeah, subscribe and like both my shows. Yeah. Okay, then it says, how do you measure YouTube success? This is a reference to the guy that was talking about his TikTok and other stuff, and the guys at the convention going on. There's a guy at a convention did this online success thing in anime, and he was just dull. He was just very, very dull and not eloquent, and unlike the guy that was talking about anime that has messed up your childhood, that guy was fun, but this other guy was dull, and yeah, he was just reading the talking points from success blogs and channels and stuff, and but I think the thing is with YouTube especially, because I know more YouTube than the other stuff. I don't really know a lot about the X and Twitter and how that works and all that stuff. I don't like Twitter. Don't like X. Don't really like Facebook so much either. Don't really go there. The other guys were all about Twitter and X and Facebook, so it's different. And they were all on about that. And they, YouTube is a luck of the draw, a crapshoot kind of thing with success, because you have people that are able to put up fake trailers for movies that may not exist yet, or movies that are about to have a trailer, and they put up fake trailers, and they get thousands of views for a fake, completely BS fake trailer, and they get thousands of views for that immediately. Whereas the little guys, the little channels, and smaller ones, I mean, I've been there forever. I've been there since 2007, and then the other one 2011. And some of the other stuff between that, 11, 14 later. But yeah, I've been there since my channel is as old as Channel Awesome. It's about the same time period. I'm not a content creator from Channel Awesome. Nope. There were a few crossovers, but back in the day. But yeah, I think they've taken them down. Just left them up. But yeah, there's some of the stuff. Yeah, they did was they're still around. They're still doing stuff over there, and all their content creators broke off, and they lost a lot of their content creators at Channel Awesome. This is one of the successful channels. It's an example. After a scandal that happened in 2018, a lot of their content creators went off and did their own thing, and they're not posting it on Channel Awesome anymore. But they're still posting to the Kal Kat show thread. So Caitlin and Allison Preglar and Movie Nights. The Stone Gremlins. Stone Gremlins is actually still at Channel Awesome. They're still connected. But yeah, there's a couple of them that are still like that. Lindsay Ellis left over a year ago. She's not there anymore. On YouTube. So there's a bunch of other people that left. I don't know them personally at all. I saw some of them at Fan Me. But yeah, they were back in the day in 2017. They'd never been back. They've never been back. And Yeah, they were successful. Linkara atop the fourth wall was successful. That kind of thing. Angry Video Game Nerd was successful. Not so much anymore now that he's like got a family and stuff. You know, and Stone Gremlins will become less popular now that he has a family. It'll become a little less popular. L.A. Beast, who's not related to them, is very popular. Not the Mr. Beast. L.A. Beast. They used to do eating challenges. Still kind of does. He used to be on the West Coast. That is called the L.A. Beast, right? And then he moved back to Jersey. He's been in Jersey for a while. There was almost a crossover with his program. He was literally in San Francisco, hanging around over there, going to Alcatraz and stuff, one of the streets, a day after some of us were in San Francisco in the same street, but not at Alcatraz. Back in the day when he was in the Bay Area. We could have met him, but we didn't. Didn't happen. I have met the Channel Awesome people, some of them. That 2017 fan of me. I met Doug Walker. He ran up and hugged me. It was bizarre. But yes, and I went to all of his panels. And there were obsessed fans. There was an obsessed fan that was stalking him. And Doug Walker was like, tell that guy that you know to stop that. So I don't know the guy, but if I see him, I didn't know him really. It was the soccer guy. I didn't know him. He walked up to me and wanted to meet Doug Walker. And I said, he's over there. He's stalking him the rest of the convention. It's like, don't do that. I did happen to see him again at that convention years ago. And I told the other guy who was kind of not all there, don't stalk Doug Walker. Don't do that. I didn't tell you. Oh, sorry. Don't do that. It's not cool. Yeah, so yeah, but yeah, that's a story. So success in YouTube, I guess, is a luck of the draw. You can have a funny furry show, or a cat show, or something, or dogs, or something. You find a niche to sell your brand out there, and with all those commercials and ads popping up to the people that don't have the ad blocker in Prime, yeah, it's probably a lot hard to get anybody to notice your channel. And my channels are not monetized, and because I didn't even monetize a fan film. Okay, so yeah, it has been a struggle to find the algorithm. People are using Patreon and other sources to sell their stuff. Oh yeah, another popular channel is Simon Whistler, who's got a bunch of channels. British guy. So yeah, that's another popular guy. Let's see. When you use stock footage or gameplay, what do you use and how much? Oh, this refers to the fan films. According to the DMCA rules, a few seconds of gameplay, a few seconds of a trailer, even a minute of a trailer is probably all right, as long as you do source the thing. I find that on my channel, the reason there aren't movie trailers and movie reviews with trailers is because the algorithm immediately flags the video and says this is property of Sony, this is property of MGM or Paramount or something. It does not want me to put up any kind of trailers at all. So they don't want me to do that. And I don't have AdSense, which is weird. I'm not going to pay any, you're not going to get any revenue from that. But yes, stock footage. The stock footage is from this season of Legacy. Star Trek Legacy is mainly pixels footage. Pixels. Stock footage. Some of it's Pixel Bay, and other stuff. Actually, we were first out of the gate when we last in 2023, late in 2023, when we showed that beautiful bluish ringed planet with the moons and the ice moons and stuff. Kind of vaguely a Pandora, Saturn clone kind of planet. It was kind of that inspired. Then there was another planet with a rocky, burned up core and that kind of thing. And there was a greenish planet and some other planet. These three Pixel Bay planets from that were later picked up by, after we did it, were picked up by Isaac Arthur's Space Channel and John McClelcodier's Space Channel, and now they're used all the time. We did it first. that was awesome. Yeah, two other popular channels. Two other. Yeah. Stock footage. Yeah, so you can use stock footage, freeware pixel-based stuff. That's fine. No one says anything. We're okay with that. I guess this is a Robotech question. Will we see more of Dana and Maya? Yes. They are in the Robotech fourth story that's coming out on the reviews channel. When that fourth story comes out, I'm currently rendering the pieces together, and then the first edit layer here, and then I'm gonna go on and do the second edit layer and put the voices together and sync them and make sure the lady voices sound like ladies, and because it's all one dude. Yeah, it's a guy. So yeah, it'll all work out. They do appear. Some of the other ones appear. It's a fun story. It's sort of an apology letter to the people that were at the end of Transformers Legacy. They're all no, all those future years never happened. Well, they did in that timeline. This story is how they with that timeline. That happened. The Primes messed with it. It wasn't really a dream. The Primes messed with it and pulled them back into time and fixed it. So it wasn't really a dream. It was sort of a pseudo cop-out. I should add this too. There was a long form review essay. A YouTuber went on the Star Tours Star Trek hotel experience with her family, and reviewed it. And she's one of the famous. I think she's an ex-content creator of Channel Awesome. Is what she is. She's an ex one. She's one of the ex ones, and she was. Of that, and she was reviewing it for like 4 hours. She went there and did surreptitiously. Apparently, it's closed now. So the question is whether Kal Kat would have ever gone on the Star Cruiser Hotel. I said no, never would have gone on that. It was $6,000 to go on there, and it was crap. From what I hear, it was terrible, and I believe that one content creator more than the other ones because she went there and she's an honest opinion as to it's just a mess. I wouldn't have spent. The question also would lead to how would you improve it or do something like that? Because I've always liked to talk about stuff like that. How do you improve that or do something like that? Well, in a fantasy realm setting, I wouldn't do Star Wars. I would do Star Trek, of course, or Transformers. But Star Trek would be easier. I would bring back the Star Trek experience. But because downtown San Francisco, where Starfleet Academy allegedly is located, is kind of skanky, they would have to build it somewhere else in the Bay Area where it's less skanky, possibly San Jose, which would be close to me. But it's San Jose, and put up a Star Trek attraction, and have sort of the Star Trek tours, but make it permanent, and you could go on and it would be connected to maybe the convention center and the hotel and stuff, so to be nearby, and you could go in the the Star Cruiser thing is stupid because they were overcharging for their stuff, and these rooms were crap. And no, don't have them live in the experience in the hotel. That doesn't work. No, have it be a ride. Be a series of rides. Have a Starfleet Academy series of rides. Because as a ride attraction, that would be cool. Have a motion, go motion, shaky starship bridge adventure. You can go on the bridge, and starships and stuff is shooting and stuff like that. Have a phaser range thing where the adults and kids can test their phaser range, sort of like laser tag, but it's phasers, and shoot the targets and stuff. That'd be great. Have a the mess hall area done up all cool, like a Klingon ship mess hall and a 10 forward mess hall, and have like a bunch of food and things to dine on and stuff. And you can still make it cheap because you could still have good gourmet stuff, and you could still make it. You could do a Deep Space Nine kind of thing in the middle, do a saucer section thing, and walk around and make it a generic Star Trek experience set in the 2400s. And you go in there and it updates and let you do stuff, all holodeck stuff too. Yeah, and you can go on a space adventure, and you can go on the ride part of it, and be on the starship, and be walking around on the starship, and go on a planned route on the thing. Like the Star Trek experience was, except you could have like 3 or 4 of them, different kinds of experiences, and maybe they change it up. Each time they do different thing. Oh, next week this will be the TOS era one. You just redress the set to look like a little bit like the TOS one, or this one will be Next Generation, or the Deep Space Nine one. And it's slightly different, and it would be cost economical to get in, and the hotel part would be separate, so they wouldn't have to overcharge the hotel. You just say, okay, this is associated with Hilton or something. Associated with Hilton, but you're going to go in and go on the attraction, which is over there next to the Hilton. You're not in the It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then you can see the captain and crew acting out and stuff. You could also have because if people want to act out their story, they were not allowing people to even dress up in the ride, which is stupid. No, let them dress up in the ride, but just put like a special badge on the attendees that they have to wear, like a bracelet or something. They have to wear that tells that it has like a little chip in the bracelet that tells you that that's an attendee and not an employee, and they're dressed like a Jedi or something. And the Star Trek one, same thing. Star Trek outfit, that's an attendee. They got like a special lanyard and bracelet. They're not, yeah, that'd be awesome. They need to do that. Anyway, yeah, Star Trek thing. Can I run it? Oh, I want to run it. No. What? The Zor Lords were changed, and why? Well, G.I. Joe figures. We have G.I. Joe figures from the 90s and the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. They had to change them because they're G.I. Joe figures. Yeah. Is Transformers Legacy canon with itself or the other series or the other ones? It's canon with lexicons and it's canon with the other fan films before it, in a sense, but it's all sort of a multiverse, so it's canon in a sense. If characters live and die in the story, that maybe that is just a separate timeline. That's. And yes, we didn't want to have Prime and Megatron in the last story. We wanted to make it about Rick Hunter and Lisa Hayes and Max Sterling. That's Transformers. Robotech. Have you seen any great fan films lately? Yeah, I've seen a few great fan films lately. Some of them older, some of them newer. Can't really name any off the top of my head, but there was a fun Bionic Dance one. That was fun. Sort of a Buck Rogers one. There was a guy that did a spin-off. He's making a spin-off of Transformers Prime, Galvatron's Revenge. That could be interesting. There was a Starscream OVA kind of thing, gag one that was kind of fun. Yeah, there's been some. There was a Robotech one where they used Wings of Mighty Wings song. It's kind of fun. But yeah, there's a guy doing a metal version of She-Ra Princess of Power. That's fun. And of course, Cybertronic Spree is always fun doing their all in costume as Transformers doing their Cybertronic Spree. They're a band. And also there were later Firebomber stuff from Robotech Macross 7. Macross 7 who are still doing stuff. It's kind of funny. Yeah, the classic Robotech 7. Well, it's been 30 years. Yeah. Do you ship like make Rule 34? I do not make Rule 34. I do not publish Rule 34. So no, I do not. If I have made some Rule 34 before, but never put it up on the net. No one's ever going to see it. So no. Yeah, joke about it in house. It doesn't go. Never gets published. Well, yeah. At the cons, are you still a celeb? As in conventions. Why or why not? Well, I was as Cowpoke. I was at the con. Somebody called me Indiana Jones at one point. Mr. Jones. But that hat was green and it had a flap on the back. It wasn't really Indiana Jones, but there was at least 2 other Clint Cowpokes. That was fun. So I'd say the channel is known, but they don't know how many subscribers it has. It doesn't have very many subscribers, but it has lots of subscriptions and over 1,300 videos. So they're aware of the channel and the Kal Kat channel and stuff. There was at least 1 or 2 instances of them seeing my badge up close and going, "Oh, that's Kal Kat." So yep, there was a Kelly too. Yeah. A couple other ones. And there was one point when Clint Cowpoke was like, we should do a pose here because I'm Clint Cowpoke and so are you. It was all like, well, yeah. We ended up not taking a picture together, but it would have been funny. He didn't realize the real guy. I mean, the real thing. There were actually, I was thinking there were actually, like, there are people in the church at the con. There were 2. There were 3 in the crowd. Definitely, yeah. They were definitely there. There's like, you were at Fanime on Fridays. Yeah, I was. I saw you. Cool costume, yeah. Mine wasn't that great. His was. Yeah, so fillets. Who were the fillets? Okay, there's just it's sort of this, well, kind of fictitious, kind of embellished characters. The fillets. You have your Piedmont and Foster and all that stuff. But you have the fillets, and they were actually based on a family from the martial sports from Johnny Swan. And some of them were based on another one from Jack Swan. They were combining these 2 families together. One of them is still around, and we don't want to say their names, so we're not going to. But one of them moved before the pandemic. So one of the families moved, and they were the main fillets, and they were down the street from the church, and they were moving. The mother who was in the cult years ago didn't want to talk about the cult, but the sons did. Then mentioned it briefly, and I said I was no longer in, and I wasn't only part time in the cult, and that it's a cult. It definitely was. And that was about it. The Young's, martial sports cult. I made fun of it. They've seen the videos and the earlier ones. This was 3-4 years ago, 2020, 2021, or the pandemic. Yeah, so this is way earlier. So they had not been part of the current stuff. There's somebody being the fillet. They are not. It's probably just the preliminary of the Kal Kat show. So, yeah. It's not them anymore. They're gone. Will Transformers go back to 2024? So will the show be current with a current timeline and not jump ahead again? I don't know. I couldn't say. If something comes up, it's supposed to be sci-fi, then whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Will Picard seasons 2 or 3 get a spoof? No. Absolutely not. I know it's 2024, and that's when part of Picard season 2 takes place. Right now, this is when Picard's on the planet. But I didn't think that would be cool to do that. And season 3 is, done with, and it was fine. But yeah, that's where the next movie should take place. Is Star Trek Legacy should be 2024, not a prequel origin story. It should be 2404 and on from here. Well, technically 2401 or 2. They screwed up the timeline and they had to fix it with their show. Yeah. So yeah, no. Will Discovery get a spoof? Although they did release a Berman and Saru action figures. We're not making a spoof of Star Trek Discovery. We went to the planet of the Fallen Ones, and this season they're kind of going to some of the planets of the Fallen Ones were mentioned, which is funny. They've clearly, the people that do Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, are aware of us. They're very much aware of us, and the characters they've been introducing this season, they're still aware of us. They've been aware of us since about season 2.5, roughly 2.5, 3. By the time they were in the 32nd century, they were quite aware of us, to the point of having a character named Kal and a character named Sue Cal, two different characters. They were definitely aware of us, absolutely aware of us. Geez, Will Wheaton should have had to find out to be in the ready room. But it didn't happen, but even Will Wheaton referred to us at one point. On the Ready Room show, he was all like, yeah, I've seen some fan films. Some fans out there think that I had a relations with the Traveler. To know that it's canon. Did. And he sort of grinned at the camera. Sort of chuckled as like, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, you know what we were up to. So that is kind of shipping. In a way. Just a little weird. Yeah. Kind of. No, Discovery. No. Not going to return the favor. But the season finale is in a couple of days. So, series finale. I don't know if they're going to be able to wrap that up. What is your best con panelist show thing experience? It's weird. Yeah. I like the ones that are charismatic and just kind of do a bunch of weird stuff. Yeah, I like those better. But they're just like, okay, this is a free form thing. It's not a lot of PowerPoint. I'm gonna do weird stuff. Maybe a skit performance. I really like the previous. They weren't there at this Fan of May, but years ago there was a couple of guys that were cracking up the panel. They were doing the various Mario brothers. So the Mario they were doing the Mario brothers like as a team. They're actually brothers, so they were or at least really good friends. So they're going to do a spoof of that. They were fun. They went to a couple of conventions. They weren't there this year. Maybe they showed up later. I don't think so. I was only there on Friday though. They may have showed up later. That's Skibidi. At the bottom it says Skibidi, but I'm just being screwy. Yeah, I knew what Skibidi was. Yeah, the youth was surprised that I knew what Skibidi was. I was like, everybody knows what Skibidi is. Toilet head guy sticking out, right? Come on. If it's on YouTube, I've probably seen it. Okay. Because that's basically the whole deal with the Kal Kat show at YouTube. Almost 8-9 hours a day on, which is kind of insane. I probably shouldn't do that. But there ain't nothing else to do. Don't have cable over here. Who needs it? Yeah, I can just go and I sort of have cable and then I have net and stuff, but I never look at the full-on shows on it. Not really. I reactivated it briefly when the nephew was here, but then I got rid of it again. But I was like, yeah, that's neat. Yeah. Anyway, so this other render of day 3 here is almost done, but it always says almost done. It's gonna take a while. So yeah, that's the Q&A. Yeah. So this will be AdamaCon, May 2024. AdamaCon. Memorial Day. I keep saying Labor Day. It's Memorial Day weekend. I can't think of anything more to go on. I didn't want to go on just about the Robotech thing. I've already done the making of on that. This isn't really a making of thing. It's not really a behind the scenes of that. It's everything. The last season. Yeah. So yeah. So the Robotech 4 movie is essentially the last Robotech Transformers movie for at least a month, probably, or of some kind. Yeah, until the actual studio is kaput. So Yeah. It's not thrown away, though. It's packed away to go somewhere else. So we will see what happens from there. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, packed away. Boy, I showed you a little preview of that packed away. Yeah, now the little room is full of stuff again. So no, put it all back up there. But yeah, it's the Transformers and the Joes and stuff. I actually gave the entire CD and video and collection to Goodwill a year ago. Well, less than a year ago, maybe like 10 months ago. And most of the older Transformers to give them to them too. But I have a lot of Transformers left. I even have a Transformers Decepticon spaceship that I didn't actually use in any of the shows. I had bought it new and put it away. Did not use it. Like a year ago, it's just sitting there, the spaceship. And they got all the Dinobots. They're coming out with Swoop, but that's later on. Yeah, I have all the Dinobots lined up. Yeah, the bigger ones, the Studio Series ones. Favorite Transformers, I guess. I like the Jetfires and the newer one, but apparently they've got an even newer one that's a bigger one, you know. But I can't afford the bigger one. But yeah, so I'm not getting it. But I do want to find Nightshade, that Transformer with. I want to have that one. That'd be funny. So yeah. No, wait. Anyway, so that has no relevance here. It didn't sneak in at anything at the convention either. Could have gone back and snuck in. No, I didn't do that. So yeah, that was it. Fanime one day, so, Friday, and yeah, it's been fun. So, yep. That's it for this thing, I guess.